Good Tuesday afternoon. Welcome to Daily Distinction. I cannot believe it is September 1st. Can you believe it? Holy cow. Only 4 more months and this monstrosity of 2020 is completed. But it's gonna be a heck of a finish to the year, isn't it? I mean, holy cow, we've got an election coming up that we'll not talk about because we don't talk about politics here, but you think about all the things that we've had so far this year already. And we still got a presidential election coming up. We still have, football to come and everything else. Holy cow, it's going to be an incredible finish to a wild, wild year. So I'm really glad you're here. Thanks for being here. Brian First In wins. Getting ready to come out to California for a vacay. Good for you, man. I'll tell you. That's as good as news gets right there, man. I hope you have a fantastic time. Hope everything is going to go great with you. So glad you're here, Brian. Glad everybody's here. Thank you for sharing. I don't say this often enough at the beginning of Daily Distinction, but most of our viewers, as I've said before, watch us on the replay. So thank you for watching on the replay, and thank you for sharing as well. I know some folks shared the replay yesterday, and that always means the world. So glad that you did that. Hey, Janice, great to see you. Thank you for being here from Houston. Carlos, as always, my friend, good to see you from California. Glad you are here. I want to mention, of course, about the Distinction Summit that is coming up. When you stand out, you naturally earn more. If you become the choice of customers, you make more sales, you make more money. If you become the choice of the best people in the marketplace, then you have the best employees. If you become the employee that stands out, then you get the promotion. When you stand out, you earn more, not just earning more dollars. Everybody talks about, 10x in your dollars or whatever it might be. Nah, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you earn more respect, you earn more recognition, you earn more of what you want. Think about this. Everything that you want in your life right now is controlled by somebody else. Just about everything you want in your life is controlled right now by somebody else. If you want more sales, the customer gets to decide. If you want the promotion, your boss or HR gets to decide. Want your kid to get in the best schools? Well, the admission committee decides. How do you structure what you do so it stands out so you get selected? You need to earn more selection. That's what the Distinction Summit is all about. That's why we entitled it, Stand Out, Earn More. And the Distinction Summit is October 16th to 18th. And the website is up. You can jump in there and get your reservation made. You can enroll now and learn more about the Distinction Summit. And then the next few days, we're going to be talking more about the guest speakers that we're going to have, because I promise you, it's going to knock you out. It's going to be great. And we've got a lot of great stuff happening. So go to distinctionsummit.com. You get $100 off through Labor Day. And Labor Day is Monday. So get with it. Go. Be there. Mike, I can't wait to have you there. I'm really glad you're going to be there. Thank you so much for that. Hey, Scott, happy September 1st, first of the month to you. You got your Packers hoodie. You're ready for football season too, huh? Oh, gosh. Smoke-filled and overcast San Jose. See, Brian, he's going to open up the state for you there. And I appreciate it, Brian. Really, really excited that you're going to be there too at the Distinction Summit. Thank you for those of you that have already registered. Truly, truly appreciate it. Hey, today's topic, I started to say I'm fearful to talk about it, but that would kind of be a bad joke, because it's a term that I had not learned until this morning. And it's a takeoff on a term that you're probably already familiar with. We know what FOMO is. FOMO, of course, is the fear of missing out. If you're not familiar with FOMO, the dictionary, it's even in the dictionary. Can you believe that's how popular the term FOMO has become? It's in the dictionary. The dictionary describes FOMO as the anxiety that an exciting or interesting event may currently be happening elsewhere, often aroused by posts seen on a social media website. It just occurred to me. I had not planned on saying this. It just occurred to me. I'm trying to create Distinction Summit FOMO. I want you to be afraid of missing out on that. But that is what FOMO is. It is that anxiety that happens because of our fear of missing out. So here's the term that I learned this morning. It's FOLE. 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 And what is FOLE? Well, if you're like me and you grew up near the Kentucky Derby, you might think of that as a foal. That's not what it's talking about. By the way, in case you didn't know, the Kentucky Derby, usually the first Saturday of May, going to be this Saturday. No fans in the stands, as I understand it, like the Indy 500 was, but at least we'll have a Kentucky Derby this year. Fastest 2 minutes in sports. I grew up 35 miles from it. So cool. Anyway, that's when you grow up near Churchill Downs, that's what you think of as a foal. No, that is not it. Don't confuse FOLE with FOAL. There's another word for foal. I looked it up, and there is some slang that says a foal is a slang term for a rich kid who's a jerk. That's not what we're talking about either when it comes to foal. Brian is guessing fear of lost experience. That's close. Hey, Cheryl, good afternoon. Mike, yeah, there you go. We've got the Packers. Charles will jump right in here and tell you about the 49ers. He won't miss a moment to tell you about the Niners, which looks like it's going to be another great year for them. And I'm so excited about the Colts and Chiefs. You got to be excited about that, Mike, for goodness sakes. That is so cool. Brian, you got it right there. FOLE is the fear of losing everything. The fear of losing everything. In other words, as we've been hit with the pandemic, as we've been hit with all of these variables out there, for a lot of people, they've moved from the fear of missing out into the fear of losing everything because there is so much unknown out there. So let's take a look at what people do when they have the fear of losing everything. I don't know if any of you have been through it. I've been through it twice in my life where I basically lost everything. It is something you can recover from. Hopefully, I've done it twice. May do it again. Who knows? But I want to say to you that if this is a fear that you have, I understand the depths of what that fear can do. I also understand that you can, and you will recover if you do the right things, but that's hard to hear when you're in the midst of it. So I want to take a look not just at what you do to prevent it and to deal with it, but what some of the behavior is before that should tip you off that maybe, you haven't been sitting in a room saying, I have FOLE. I think and guys particularly, I don't mean to be, sexist or gender specific about it, but I think guys have a rough time asking for help. And guys have a more difficult time often verbalizing, I know that I did, the fear that is there and that fear that you're going to lose everything. And it's especially, it's one thing if you put everything into a business and the business didn't work out. I think it's especially discouraging when what caused you to lose everything was something out of your control to a great degree. Whether it's a healthcare situation and the crushing bills that can be brought about by that, whether it's an economy like what we're having with the pandemic, whatever it might be, it's so difficult. So let's talk about some of the things that people often do when they're in that experience. And it might be a way that you can recognize if that's something that happens for you. Janice, I hear you. It is hard to ask for help because it puts you in such a vulnerable situation, right? And sometimes we've been socialized to feel that if we ask for help, it must mean that we're not good enough. We can't do it on our own. We have such an independent spirit that sometimes asking for help seems to violate that, when really it doesn't. It doesn't. It's what we need to do. It's the healthiest thing we can do. But yet it's difficult sometimes. So here are some things that people do. I've been guilty of some of this when I was going through my situation. So that we often do when we fear that we're going to lose things. Here's number one, hoarding. Because we fear loss, we start hanging on to accumulated possessions that we have no reason to hang on to. I don't know. I have a hard time, particularly with I love techie gadgets. I'm a gadget head, right? And the Apple Pencil that worked with the old iPads, excuse me, won't work with the new iPads, right? They've changed it. I'm choking up telling you this. Okay, so the old Apple Pencil doesn't work. Why are you keeping them? You don't even have an iPad because I traded in the iPad to get the new iPad, right? I did the trade in. So I got these pencils that don't work and they're in my desk drawer. And she's like, well, why do you have those? And I put them on eBay, and it kind of got me. I didn't want to lose them. I might need them for something, or maybe I'll get an old. Well, I made $100 selling these two pencils on eBay, and I don't miss them at all. But yet there still remains something in me that if I've got it, I don't want to. I got a couple old cell phones. I might as well, And my friend Betsy Blankenbaker Murphy has educated me that women's shelters really need used cell phones, and so we're donating to that. But I've been guilty of this. We hang on to possessions for really no apparent reason. It's Charles, you're saying it, right? There's a lot of people that are dealing with this from a financial situation, and it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch with folks. Hey, based here in Vegas, here's another one that I see, but it's not just in terms of putting your money on red at the roulette wheel. It's taking unnecessary risks. Sometimes when we fear losing everything, we risk too much as a way to combat the fear. We want the grand slam. We want the big bet to pay off. So we bet too much on a business or on a situation or on something. We invest in a risky stock, hoping that if it takes off, that we will be able to overcome this. So it's not just gambling in the sense that you go to the slot machine at the nearest casino. It's gambling in the sense that you might buy very risky stocks. You might risk more than you need to, because you really think you need to hit that home run to win. And unfortunately, I think too, we've heard these stories. You've heard about Fred Smith coming to Vegas and putting Federal Express's money on the line and winning, and that was the only way he made payroll and kept the company afloat. We kind of celebrate that. Oh, look what he did, and I'm glad he kept FedEx afloat. But I think sometimes that's kind of a bad lesson. That's how we keep things afloat, is by gambling. And it's not. Here's one that we're familiar with. We drink as a way of dealing with the fear. We want to numb ourselves through alcohol. I didn't put drug use there, but that would be another one, that we try to numb the feeling and just get ourselves through it. Hey, that's one I did. I drank too much, and I'm not proud of that. But I was trying to numb myself to the pain of what I was dealing with in a financial situation. So that's part of what happens when we have the fear of losing everything. Here's another. We take what money we have and we go out and we buy too much. We want to get more acquisitions because it's almost like a fix. It's like a drug fix. If we go buy something, it makes us feel like, oh, we still have some control. We still have some power. We still have that ability. We're not going to lose everything because look, I can go buy something, right? You've seen that, Janice? Yes, hoarding can center around fear. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. We're going for that. I get it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Pandemic shopping, is it? And Janice, we hear about that too. Is that's what's going to save the economy? Is all this pent up buyer demand? Well, if the economy recover, it's chicken and egg, isn't it? I mean, the economy can't recover until we start spending more, but we can't spend more until the economy recovers, and it's kind of chicken and egg. Hey, Darcy, good to see you. Not only do we not ask for help, we need to be specific what help we ask for, right? That's a great analogy, Darcy. I love that. Think of Google. If you ask it generic questions, it doesn't drill down enough to get the results we need. Yes, they need to know how to specifically help us. I love that. I love that. It's this Brian flying to Vegas one time, get my rental vehicle. The guy in front of me told the service person he lost everything. $800K. Had to go back and tell his wife he lost everything. Oh, my gosh. I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine. I don't mean to make fun, but to me, that's where the term justifiable homicide, that's why that was created, right? Because, oh my gosh, I cannot even imagine. There is a great Albert Brooks movie that's got to be 30 years old called Lost in America. And that's kind of the story. They go to Vegas. They're going to be like Easy Rider in an RV. So they get this modern RV, he cashes in, he's going to go, they go see America, and they stop in Vegas, and he goes to bed and she goes downstairs and loses everything. It's a funny movie, but I can't imagine how tragic that would be. So there is what often happens. We hoard the possessions that we have. We gamble. We risk too much to combat the fear. We drink as a way of deadening the pain. We spend too much to acquire. All of those are challenging. Here's an old line. I've heard a lot of speakers use this. Most lately, my friend Phil Jones says this, and the reason it's said so often is because it is so good, and that is, fear is an acronym that means false evidence appearing real. That sometimes we convince ourselves we're going to lose everything when really what it means is we need to cut back. Or we convince ourselves that, the world is going to hell in a handbasket when really it just means we're facing what Jim Rohn called a winter, and spring is going to come. We just need to prepare for that. So what do we need to do to make a difference? And ironically, the best way to deal with the fear of losing everything is to give away. Isn't that interesting? The best way to deal with that fear of losing everything is to be prepared to give away. Charles says, I was in the liquor business straight out of high school. One of the youngsters told me, liquor, great in good times and better in bad times. Yeah. Hey, look, Charles, from what I understand, liquor sales are going through the roof during the pandemic, right? It's one of those things that can happen. And Charles, you also mentioned earlier about what you've done to help others in need, and it's good to know that you would ask if you really needed it, right? I mean, that's what we have to do. Brian, it's different between what happened and what we made it. I mean, take it personally. Yeah, exactly. So here is what we need to give away. First off, give away your ego. Part of what prevents us from asking for assistance and asking for help and doing what we need to do is our overly inflated ego. I have some friends who dealt with a terrible situation in their business, and they lost the business. And I could pass a lie detector test telling you that the reason they lost the business primarily was because their ego wouldn't allow them to admit their mistakes. Right? They were afraid that they would turn off employees and investors and customers, and their ego was lost anyway when they lost the business. Their ego was intact because they couldn't give it away, but then when the business shut down, what did that do to their ego? Right? So one of the things you need to give away is your ego. There's a book by Ryan Holiday called Ego is the Enemy. And I think that's true for us so many times, is that our ego is the enemy, ironically, of us attaining the things that we want. I'm not trying to sell it here, but it's one of the things I'm going to talk about at the Distinction Summit is that I think we have this erroneous impression that standing out is trying to say, look at me, look at me, look at me. And it's not that. It is earning the positioning that gets you noticed. It's not that you're saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. It's that you have earned the positioning that people notice what you're doing and are attracted to what you're doing. So trying to stand out is not egocentric. Trying to stand out is maximizing your potential. It's maximizing what you do for the benefit of those you serve as customers and those you employ or those you engage or the other people on your team where you work. That's what it's all about. It's giving up that ego. Here's what else you give up. Within reason, it is amazing to me how during tough times, just giving away any of your money makes you feel better. I don't care where you are. I don't care what challenges are facing you. I promise you that you can find somebody in much worse shape than you. Helping them with the resources that you have gets you through the fear of losing everything. I wish I had a scientific reason to tell. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you sell everything and give everything away. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying don't forget to tithe, so to speak, even as you are dealing with all this challenge. Next, give away your excess. All of us have some things that we could do without. It's like me and the pencils, right? I could do without those. When I finally sold them, I got to tell you, it made me feel pretty good. You know, Tammy and I went out to eat on what I had was just sitting in a desk drawer. I would rather have the experience than the pencils I couldn't use anymore. And so whether it's selling your excess or giving away your excess, taking some clothes to the Salvation Army or Goodwill or whatever it might be, we are so fortunate to have more than we need. And to give away that excess is part of what will sustain you during this time of fear. See, Tony Robbins, and you know I don't agree with everything that Tony Robbins has said, but I do certainly agree with this, and that is that motion creates emotion. And when you get into motion, it creates emotion. When you give away your excess, you are moving in a manner that creates better emotion. And getting that better emotion is part of what will get you through the time of fear. Janice, you saw it. Absolutely. Helping others made you less fearful after the hurricane had devastated your area. And again, I can't point to, the scientific principle of this particular experiment done by this university that proves I don't have that. I just know it to be true. And you've seen it as well. And that is so important and so critical. And here's the last one, and probably the most important one. While you give away your money within reason, you give away your love with abandon. You need to, during this time, especially in the time that you should be asking for help, is giving it as well. And at this time that you're asking for love, giving it as well. So giving away your love with abandon to the people in your family, to the community, to the church or synagogue or mosque or whatever the charity might be that appeals to you, giving away your love at the time that you're most fearful for yourself creates incredible, powerful emotion. I don't know what you call it, and a lot of folks don't believe in it, whether it's what goes around comes around or karma or the universe or whatever it might be, or how God looks at you, however you choose to define it. Nonetheless, I'm a big believer that we don't get what we want, we get what we deserve. And if we're not giving love, how in the world do we think we deserve it? So doing those things is how we deal with this incredible fear. Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate that. Giving away that love and that connection and that compassion. When we give that away, somebody said, optimist or pessimist, is the cup half full or half empty? And I've always thought it's refillable. Right? I mean, there's no hole in the bottom of it as we're talking about it. It's refillable. And so if you think there's only so much love that can fit in this cup, you're not going to give it away. You're going to put your hand over top of it. But when you think how do you get more love? Well, first you got to pour some out to get more in. The only way that you can get more is to give more. And that's what we're talking about here. So if you're dealing with this fear of losing everything, I want you to think about giving away your ego, giving away some of your money, giving away the excess that you have, and certainly giving away your love with abandon. When we do these things, we deal with the fears that we have, and we understand some of those fears is just false evidence that appears. real. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for those of you that have already signed up to be a part of the Distinction Summit. If you haven't yet, it would mean the world to me if you would. We've got some great guests that are going to be a part of it. We're getting those all firmed up, and I've got some announcements coming for you after Labor Day that we'll be announcing on that. But distinctionsummit.com is where you go to check it out. And I really, really look forward to having you there. Thanks, Charles. I appreciate that. Great to be with you today, as always. And I look forward to joining you again tomorrow, same time, for the next Daily Distinct. See you then.